Hello Hornby fans and welcome to another episode of TT Talk. In this month's episode we're going to be taking a look at the first TT set and we'll be talking about scale. So without further ado, let's talk TT. So as I said, here we have it, the first ever TT set.
Let the weekend begin!
That's right, the Scotsman. And we're going to be unboxing this today and we're going to show you it running, we're going to show you some close-ups and some details so you get to get a real feel for what this set is all about. So let's start by unboxing. So let's open it up and here's what we get inside the box. The star of the show, Flying Scotsman, LNER 2550, Blink Bonnie. We also have our Pullman coaches, including Cecilia, Gloria and car number 64, third class. We have our straights, our power track and of course our point for our siding. We have our radius curves. Hornby controller, small parts including piping. I haven't put these on this time just because I wanted to get this out and show you as quickly as possible. Plug, because we can't do anything without power. Re-railer and buffer. So there we are, that's everything that's in the TT Scotsman set. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of it going around the track as a wide. I've had this running in now for around 20 minutes. So this table's not too wide, it's made out of 5 scaffolding planks, so you get an idea that this would fit on a tabletop as the initials suggest. I think you'll agree that this is a great locomotive to get started on and a brilliant example of TT in both its size and the details that we have. But I wanted to just take these locos off and show you a little bit more detail in both the loco and the coaches. So let's get them on the turntable and show you. There you go, that is the Flying Scotsman, the Scotsman set for TT120. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Hopefully that's given you a bit more of an overview of the TT Scotsman set. Obviously it's highly detailed, as you could see from the videos, in both the locomotive and the coaches, and everything is in there that you need to get started. Some of you will have already got your sets. Unfortunately, we have had some trouble with deliveries and couriers, which I'm sure lots of businesses had, but we do know that in January we'll be getting more of these sets, so they'll be arriving with you soon. When you do get your set, of course, don't forget to share on our social media. TT120. What scale is it? What gauge is it? How does it compare to 00 or N gauge? Well, we thought it was a good time to talk about it. Firstly, it's important to understand the difference between scale and gauge. Scale refers to the physical size of the model in relation to the real world. For example, a 1/76 scale model is 1/76 the size of its real world counterpart. As a rough guide, the larger the scale number, the smaller the model. Gauge, on the other hand, refers to the distance between the rails. Different gauge models and track have a standard measurement for their respective gauge between the wheels and rails. However, this is where the difference between scale and gauge becomes important. Different scale models can run on the same track if the gauge is the same. So let's dive a little deeper into the various gauges. 00 gauge, scale 1/76, gauge 16.5mm. This is the most popular model railway scale in the UK and of course is a stablemate for Hornby. HO gauge, scale 187, gauge 16.5mm. HO gauge is the most widely used gauge outside of the UK. As HO and 00 have the same gauge track, 16.5mm, HO models can run on a 00 layout and vice versa. TT gauge, scale 1/120th, gauge 12mm. TT or tabletop is approximately halfway in size between HO and N. Popular in Eastern Europe, Russia, and is fast becoming an emerging scale in Britain and the USA. N gauge, scale 1/160th, gauge 9mm. The most popular gauge for small scale rail modelling. N gauge differs slightly depending on the region of manufacture. UK brands, for example, are generally 1/148th. However, as with HO and 00, both have the same gauge. And there are of course other gauges available and emerging, but we wanted to focus on the gauges we work in. So what does that mean for TT? Where does it sit in the lineup? Well, if we take a 00 and N gauge as our examples, we can see it sits roughly in between these, both in gauge and scale. What's the benefit of this? Well, a smaller scale allows for more track on a layout, or a smaller layout altogether. But N gauge is smaller, so I can fit even more on my layout, right? True. However, an even smaller scale will mean smaller details, smaller locomotives and rolling stock, which could be a problem if you struggle with your eyesight, especially when you want to place a locomotive on track, something I would struggle with in N gauge. What about the difference in size of the models? Let's use Flying Scotsman as an example. Here we have a 00 model next to a TT model. It's plain to see that they're different sizes, but what does that mean in relation to everyday objects? If we place a coin between the two models, we can see more clearly the scale of these models. In the example of Flying Scotsman, the 00 model is roughly 276mm in length and 50mm in height, whereas the TT model is roughly 184mm in length and 34mm in height. Of course, the actual size of the model differs depending on the locomotive or rolling stock we're talking about, but this certainly gives you an idea of size. As an extra note, TT is closer in scale accuracy to real-life locomotives, also referred to as true scale. Well, hopefully that gives you more information about how TT differs to other gauges. If you'd like us to discuss any more specifics in a future episode, let us know in the comments below. That's all for this month. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on TT Talk.